So a family celebrated a 5-year-old's birthday at a pizza shop. They ordered a whole bunch of pizzas, a whole bunch of drinks. When all that was finished, they asked if they could borrow a knife for a cake that they allegedly brought with permission from the restaurant. And then we got one of the craziest meltdowns that we've seen from a restaurant on TikTok in a while.
Walk into a restaurant, do whatever you want. It's inappropriate.
Yeah, it was quite the overreaction. So on Saturday, August 1st, a guy by the name of Tom Jarowski took his family to Joey Tomatoes, a pizza spot that's been sitting in Jenkinson's Boardwalk in New Jersey since 1990. To celebrate his 5-year-old nephew's birthday. For anyone who's not been there, Jenkinson's Boardwalk is pretty much just an amusement park on a boardwalk in Point Pleasant Beach, with rides, an aquarium, an arcade, and a whole bunch of restaurants throughout it. And apparently, Joey Tomatoes has been one of those spots there for decades. And Tom apparently isn't just some random guy with a phone as well. No, he's the founder of something called Vintage New Jersey, a New Jersey nostalgia brand that has a following of about 500,000 people online. And this is why his video got a decent amount of traction right from the beginning. So according to Tom, his group ordered 4 large pizzas with different toppings and a handful of large drinks, which came out to $250. Yeah, things are really getting expensive these days. But before they even got there, apparently they called ahead and asked, hey, is it okay we bring an outside cake for a 5-year-old kid? According to him, the employee told him on the phone that that was fine. So after they ate, they got up and they asked, hey, can we borrow a knife to cut the cake that we said we were going to bring? And apparently they even offered to pay extra if they needed to. And that's when things went sideways. So then we see a video of an employee who is later identified as the owner or co-owner got really angry with the group for, I guess, asking. Now, the problem with this clip and with a lot of internet stories we cover is clearly we don't have the full context here. This video started in the middle of this argument, so it's hard to fully judge here. But from the video that we see, she's not really acting like a responsible owner or co-owner of a restaurant. I mean, why are you screaming at your paying customers? There is no normal reason to get this heated with a paying customer at your business.
It's dead in here.
You didn't call, you didn't make arrangements, you just didn't walk into a restaurant and do whatever you want. It's inappropriate. And you want us to apology. I don't know you anything. Have a good day. We've been here since 1990. Nobody's ever done that. 1990, it's inappropriate. It's a restaurant.
It's a 5-year-old birthday party. It's a 5-year-old birthday party. We just want to cut the cake.
How about if I just come to your house with a cake and
Okay.
do whatever
I would say yeah.
It's inappropriate.
Sure.
So Tom claims he started filming halfway through her rant because this was the craziest thing he's ever experienced. But as people started taking a closer look at this video, the owner's reaction wasn't the only target of backlash here, because a lot of people started pointing out, oh wow, there's a lot of cleaning chemicals sitting right behind here throughout this entire exchange, which a lot of people are saying, isn't that a food safety problem? You see, I can't weigh in there because I've never ran a restaurant, nor do I understand this kind of stuff. I don't know common practices here. But Tom posted this video on social media on Sunday, August 2nd, along with the caption explaining the whole situation. And from there, it just took off. And obviously when a video starts taking off like this on the internet's going to do everything it can to find everything about the perceived bad guy in the video. So of course they identified the woman. Her name is Doreen, and she's sometimes described as the owner or co-owner of Joey Tomatoes. And at first, I mean, that distinction completely changes how people reacted because, you know, an overwhelmed employee kind of having a crash out, that's one thing, but the owner of the business treating a paying customer like that isn't really ideal for business. And now that people had the name and I guess the business, things escalate even faster. So Joey Tomatoes' Yelp page and their Google reviews just got spammed with 1-star ratings. And obviously many of the people who were just spamming 1-stars hadn't even eaten there. They were just, you know, bandwagoning with the internet. So Yelp actually had to go out of its way and place a notice on the business's page highlighting that there was an unusual activity alert, which is essentially something that Yelp does when a page is getting review bombed. But as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't only Yelp either, because Joey Tomatoes' Google rating tanked to a 1.8 stars overnight, with over 1,100 reviews eventually getting pulled down, and the rating then climbed back up to about 3.8 later on. But unfortunately, it wasn't just the restaurant called Joey Tomatoes in New Jersey that got review bombed. A completely unrelated restaurant in South Carolina that also has the same name also got view bombed, because unfortunately, sometimes the internet's a little bit too fast before making its judgment and review bombing a completely innocent store. Imagine being an innocent store. You're just operating your normal pizza place or your American Italian restaurant in South Carolina, and suddenly out of nowhere, you get review bombed and you have no idea what happened. And then you quickly realized, oh, we are losing a large amount of new customers now because someone who works at a restaurant that's named the same as ours had a crash out that went viral on TikTok. Whoops. Guess we won't make payroll this month. That sucks. And hopefully Joey Tomatoes in South Carolina recovers as quickly as possible, because that is absolutely not fair whatsoever. It seems like their page got cleaned up pretty quickly because they also got hit with an unusual activity alert, and a lot of the negative reviews on the South Carolina page got deleted. But still, I mean, that is crazy. Meanwhile, though, the actual Joey Tomatoes social media presence, it just seemed to disappear almost overnight. And they just went radio silent for days. And apparently their restaurant's voicemail was also filled up, so no one could even leave a voicemail at this point. That's how many people were trying to contact the restaurant. But Joey Tomatoes in New Jersey, they stayed silent for days until they responded. And how do you think they responded? Well, in a very defensive way, that's for sure. So on August 6th, 4 days after this video went up, Joey Tomatoes finally broke their silence on Facebook. And at this point, you would probably expect them to actually explain what had happened, or at least provide some more details about the incident. But this isn't exactly what happened. So they said, for a few days now, the internet has decided that it knows everything about our restaurant based on 30 seconds of footage that started after a real conversation was already underway. No context, no beginning, just a clip built for outrage and a comment section full of opinions. So they went on to then describe how they've been operating for 30 years and so on in New Jersey. And then they pushed back on the idea that they should let customers bring in outside cakes at all, saying we're a pizza restaurant, not a party venue, not a bakery, not a rental hall. Every restaurant on this boardwalk has policies that exist for real reasons. Food safety, liability, order in a kitchen running full speed on a summer night. Those policies aren't up for a public vote just because one moment of enforcing got them recorded. And then they closed out their statement by saying, although we are considering a new tagline, we don't do cake, we do pizza. The problem with trying to spin a viral internet moment into a positive win for your business is the viral moment on the internet kind of needs to make you look good and not bad. That's the issue. So we do have this out of context clip. Yes, it's completely fair that you have your own policies where you can't bring food into a restaurant. That's extremely normal. But then you have this like discrepancy between the guy saying, oh, we called ahead, they said we can bring a cake in. And then obviously you have the clip of the owner or co-owner screaming at the customers. You have to just maintain your customer service face, remain calm, even though I realize sometimes that can be very difficult. And I mean, hey, if an employee made a mistake, told them they could bring a cake in, and so on and so on, if you still don't want them to have the cake, you just have to be extremely respectable. Maybe even give them a slight discount, something. Make it good. Because at the end of the day, people make mistakes, but what really defines you as a human being is how you handle those mistakes. And screaming at your customers isn't really the ideal outcome here. Currently, Tom, for his part, hasn't publicly responded to that statement. He did post a brief update saying he was really surprised with how everything unfolded and that he's been flooded with press requests, but he didn't want to keep reliving the story or contribute to hurting anyone's livelihood, which also completely makes sense because he probably didn't assume this was going to go as viral as it did. And on top of that, he also deleted the original video that went viral because, again, I don't think he thought this was going to go as viral as it did.
I mean, looking back, I'm still surprised how this situation unfolded. You know, we wanted to just spend a day at the beach, boardwalk, rides, arcades, and get some pizza. You know, we spent money at this place. We just wanted to borrow a knife to cut the cake, and the response completely caught us off guard. You know, since then, I've had several news organizations reaching out for interviews. I've been invited to a few podcasts to talk about this, and I appreciate the interest, but I'm going to decline, and I will continue to decline those requests. I don't want to keep reliving this story or, you know, keep contributing to affecting people's livelihoods. My hope is that everyone involved learns from this and that future customers are treated with a little bit more kindness and respect, especially when they want to just create positive moments.
So on one side, you have a family that spent $250 on pizzas and drinks and say that they allegedly called ahead and got permission to bring a cake in. So they wanted a knife to cut the cake. Then we see the staff, or I guess the co-owner or owner, yelling at them for wanting a knife to cut their cake. And then obviously on the other hand, you have the restaurant not really being at fault for having a policy in place. Their reaction is where they're at fault. But Joey Tomatoes didn't really dispute the core of Tom's claim here either, because he didn't claim that they left out a crucial detail like the family caused a big scene or something like that first. So again, even though Joy Tomatoes had every right to enforce their policy, the way they did it just seemed unprofessional. But this is also one of those moments that seem to have gotten way bigger than what it should have on Twitter, especially with a random Joy Tomatoes in South Carolina catching strays for this. They're the biggest loser here, and absolutely not deserved whatsoever. But as of right now, both pizza places seem to still be open. The original video is now deleted, and this is just another TikTok moment for the books. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Feel free to subscribe if you're new. Peace.